encouraged tonight that no matter what you've done, how far you've gone, no matter how mad you've been, it doesn't matter. He's just saying, hey, I'll still use you, dude. I will still use you, young lady. I will use you in a way. I will take you places that you never thought that you would go. You know, some of us, man, can be sitting in these rooms right now and we're just thinking, man, my life is over. Like, what have I done? Like, what have I done? And what you're going to find out is in a few years, you're going to be like, dude, I cannot believe where my mindset was, and really, like, my life hadn't even got started yet. My life has not even gotten started yet. I was thinking earlier today about, I gave away an award called Into the Storm. This guy, Rich Froning, this brand that he's come out with on Froning Farms is called Into the Storm. He talks about the bison. I've talked with you guys about it before. And what's different between my favorite animal to eat, the cow, is that whenever a storm comes, the cow starts to try to avoid the storm. Like, does whatever it can to get away from it, and as a result of not facing the storm, it actually spends more time in the storm. Where the bison is, when the storm comes, it goes head on into the storm and runs through the storm, and as a result of that mindset, it spends actually less time in the storm. What I would say to you while you are here is to embrace the way of the bison. There's a storm in front of you, and you've got to stop blaming people. You got to stop blaming the facility. You've got to stop blaming all these other things that are going on and realize that it's your storm, it's your battle, and you have to walk through it. You must walk through it.
Wow, 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 wow.
Couldn't agree more. 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 Check it out. Check it out. All right. Check it out. All right. Let's hit those beats. Let's hit those beats. So no, I know you guys can't see at home, but it is ladies' night. Ladies' night at 2:56. I mean, is this a first? Is this a first? Is this a first? Ladies only. Ladies only. In the house. In the house. In the house. I mean, insane. 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 And I mean, as I was just listening to that last song of gratitude, I mean, I haven't even been here 2 years at Good Landing. And just to see the growth of the program, to see the ladies taking up almost every single seat in the house. I mean, yes, please. Yes, please. Give yourself a hand. Give yourself a hand. I mean, most people in the country would die for an entire program the size of Our Lady. The size of Our Lady. I mean, so I just could not help but just think of the gratitude of the Lord, really, of bringing each and every one of you here in this seat. He has you here for a reason, for a purpose. You may not know what that reason is. You may not even know what that purpose is. Maybe you don't even want to be here. But you're here for a reason. God brought you here for a reason. And Well, first off, if you don't know me, I'm Jeff. People call me Coach around here. I'm over the men's program. I don't get over across the street very often, but you guys might see me walking around. Wore the pink shirt for ladies' night today. I mean, special occasion. But just that attitude of gratitude can go a long way, because this program is an amazing program. It's not a perfect program, but it is an amazing program. And it's really up to you and your attitude and your perspective of how this program is going to work for you. If you come in the door and you only see what's wrong, what you going to find? Everything wrong with the program. But if you come in with an attitude of gratitude, Lord, thank you for removing me from the situation that I was in. Amen? Amen? Lord, thank you for a roof over my head. Thank you for sisters and brothers watching online that support me and rally around me and forgive me when I mess up, who understand what I'm going through. I may not wash the dishes all the time, but Lord, I'm a work in progress. Why do I see you all chuckling and like elbowing the person next to you? We got some messy folks in the room today. Stacey, I need you on that. All right. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, there's grace. There's grace. You know, when you've walked a little bit in someone else's shoes, you kind of know what they're feeling. Hey, I've been there too. You know, there's grace in the room. There's grace in the room for that. You know, but I look through the room and I also see a bunch of, we all are different. We all are same, but we all are different. And then same goes with that gratitude. We can see our differences or we can see our similarities. Am I right? We are way more similar than we are different, especially in this room. But if you only focus on the differences, you're going to see the differences. If you really focus on, man, maybe we're more alike than we thought. Maybe what if I sat down with that person that I don't seem to get along with and I actually hear their story? Hear what they've gone through. Maybe I'll have a little bit more patience with that person. Maybe they won't get on my nerves quite as much. Maybe I'll realize that, dang, we've gone through some similar things. And maybe I'm just a little further down the road than you are. Maybe you are me 3 months ago. You know? Because how often do we just forget? You know, we get a little clean time under our belt. Say you've been here 60 days. You're like, man, I got this thing whipped. Someone comes in on day one, they're acting a fool. And you're like, I can't believe they're acting that way. Why is Good Landing let them in the program? You know, like, oh, that was you 60 days ago. Straight up. But you all forgot. You're all in that pink cloud, they say in therapy, like sunshine and rainbows, and I got my poop don't stink and all that stuff. You know it's true. It's that pink cloud, they say, when you got it all figured out, or you think you do, and I just got to get back home. I don't need Good Landing anymore, and I don't need my therapist, and you know, whatever. I'm just out of here. But so quick you forget that was you. That was you when you walked in. You probably didn't have it all put together either. You know, I just had a conversation with a lady not too long ago. She just got here, day one. Wouldn't give up her phone. Wouldn't give up her phone. Y'all know what I'm talking about already? Maybe it could be anybody. It's probably everybody. Come in, I ain't giving up my phone. You can't make me. I'm out of here. That is not a punishment. That is not meant to be a punishment. You are probably not making good decisions in your first 2 weeks coming off the streets or wherever you came from. So, yeah, we're going to borrow your phone for a couple weeks. We ain't going to keep it forever. We'll give it back. And, let you settle in a little bit. But she wouldn't give up her phone. And now she's trying to leave, burn the whole thing to the ground over some phone for 2 weeks. It wasn't even forever. I mean, some programs out there, you can't have it for a year. You want to go check those out? No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. But she came in, and she only saw what was wrong. She saw what she couldn't have for 2 weeks instead of what she could have for the rest of her life. So, attitude of gratitude. You find what you're looking for. All right? So hopefully you all came for long-term recovery, and I want you to leave with what you came for. Am I right? All right, with that said, that was just the hype. Main event's coming up. Mr. Trey Lewis.
What up? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Means a lot. That does. It's super encouraging. I just had to battle all of the 5 o'clock, 4:30ish traffic to get here, so I'm sorry I'm late. But again, thank you for being here. Thank you for fighting for your lives, for being here, being present. There's no armed guards in place to keep you here. And I realize that a lot of you, if you were to be honest, this is not what you would have picked for your life. And when the reality of that sets in, probably at different points during the day, maybe the frustration of the day-to-day, maybe whenever your head hits the pillow in the evening, that, just those checks that just come of like, man, this is not like how did I get here? Like, this is just, I look back, I think about, different seasons. I think about you can look back when life was different, and you just kind of wonder. I mean, just like, how did I get ushered into this reality of this cycle of destruction, and end up kind of waking up in some ways. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that there's some type of almost like nightmare. You just kind of, it's almost like I remember whenever I would get to treatment at different times, and I would start to sober up, and I would feel the reality of what I've done, and it's almost like in a movie that you would see the carnage of all of this destruction of choices that I made. And while that part of the process isn't the most fun, I do believe that is the catalyst to change. And that's what I mean a lot of times whenever I'm talking about treatment. I'm saying, hey, I want it to sting a little bit. I want you to have the most 5-star drug rehabilitation experience that you can have, but at the same time, the pain and that type of response. Now, I don't want shame to drive you. I don't want, unforgiveness. I don't want, all of the negative things, but I need at some level for the weight, because, this whole substance abuse thing, I mean, we're governed by Department of Community Health, okay? So that means that we teach and treat the disease model of addiction, and how you came to get that disease, could be a variety of different ways. But for a lot of us in this room, it's genetic predisposition that you didn't have a choice over. That you were there, this whole thing was kind of rigged against you, and the first time that alcohol ever touched your tongue, that it was going to send this thing into motion, okay? So it is this weird tension that you have to manage to realize it is 100% like you are a true victim of addiction. I mean, nobody one day just got up when they were 9 or 10 years old, unless you were just one super sick individual, and decided, how can I change the trajectory of my life to make sure that I become one of the most evil, lying, manipulative, if you're just thinking, man, mom has really frustrated me by not letting me go to this party when I was in the 9th grade, that I now am going to morph into a drug addict to unleash hell on her life, okay? Like, if anybody did that, you know what I'm saying, you were in the wrong program. You need to be in a psychiatric hospital out in Monroe, all right? So, but I want you to understand that you didn't ask for this, and that's why you hear so much stuff about we need to raise awareness on this. We need to remove the stigma. There's people out there that are suffering right now that need help that don't come and get help because, they're too. As a matter of fact, I had a friend of mine one time. He's a tennis pro, okay? And small southern town, he's a tennis pro. And I'm talking to his mom. He's addicted to drugs, illicit drugs. I'm talking to his mom about getting him in. And she's like, man, I just can't do it. He has kind of hit this level of social status. My son is the tennis pro, and I just can't the town can't know that my son's going to rehab. And I'm like, well, Karen, let me tell you, okay, first of all, if you're even on the phone with me, like, it ain't no secret, okay? Like, everybody knows this dude. And as a matter of fact, his drug of choice was methamphetamines, okay? So it wasn't like, it wasn't like he was kind of some, high-functioning alcoholic or something like that, and he could sort of pull it off. Like, I'm like, look, lady, like, they know, all right? This guy's out there in 90-degree summer days with long-sleeve shirts on, picking scabs, like the whole deal, right? Just everything you think. And so I'm thinking like, he's a tennis pro. Like, this guy's got to be making 6 figures. It's a big deal. She didn't want him to lose his job. It comes to find out the guy's making like, 20, 30 grand a year. He can't even buy a car. I'm like, he's living at his mom's house, can't even buy a car. And I'm like, Karen, you like, it doesn't even make sense if he was making 7 figures. But right now, there is such a stigma in your mind and such a hurdle for you to be able to make what is the appropriate, logical decision to save your kid's life, and you are worried what somebody's going to think, and your kid can't even afford to buy a car or move out of mommy's house. What are we talking about here? Like, what in the world are you protecting him from? I was like, as a matter of fact, now that I understand that side of it, probably the greatest thing that you could ever do would be rip the Band-Aid off and burn that stinking job to the ground, and where there's not even a path back to that train wreck. But instead, my point is that's why you hear all of this stuff, because I get it. It doesn't matter how much education that we do. There's a negative connotation that has to be overcome about drug addiction, right? But again, people hear it because there's a disease concept. It's not your fault. It's not your fault that you're here. You're not in trouble. This is not punitive, Hopefully that my speaking isn't so bad that you feel like that you're in trouble right now. That this isn't some kind of like, oh, God, I got 30 minutes of Trey will fix you. That'll be enough, beating you over the head, like, make it stop. So hopefully that's not what's happening, But I want you to understand, like, you're not in trouble. Like, this is not, is there a level of consequence that comes with being somewhere where you don't necessarily want to be? Yes, sure. But when we developed all of this, we weren't like, you know what, man, I'm telling you. Freba out there having fun, that just, it makes me, she was having so much fun. I am getting ready to punish her for the next night. That was not in the way that we developed this, like that we were trying to hurt you. Like, this is the formula to freedom, is why it's designed. So, again, I'm making a really long point, but what I want you to understand is that it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you struggle with this, and I am sorry that you have to deal with it. But I will tell you, it is 150% your responsibility to deal with it. Okay? It's all on you. It'll be all on God, whatever you want to say. But I'm telling you, one of my favorite quotes is originally by Augustine, made more popular recently by a New York Times bestselling author and pastor named Mark Batterson. You work like it depends on you. You pray like it depends on God. Okay? You work like you put the work in as if this whole thing rides on your back. And then you pray as if the whole thing depends on God. It is not an either or. It is not I'm going to say a prayer and then I'm going to be negligent about all the counseling. I'm going to be negligent about all the things that the coping skills that Trey's going to give me and my counselor's going to give me and that Jeff just gave me. I'm going to be negligent about all that. And I'm going to say a little, 90-second prayer, when I go with my roommate at night and just kind of think like, that'll just be the sauce I'm going to throw on it. But I'm going to be completely negligent as I move through this process. No, it is you work and take full responsibility as if the way out of this thing, and it does, honestly. Like God's going to do his part, but you got to do your part. Like he's going to do his part, but if you are constantly shooting yourself in the foot, I promise you, it'll just, it talks, it's a verse. It says, the person who ruins their own life and then shakes their fist at God and tries to blame it on God. I mean, how many people do you think that went through Good Landing Recovery, decided not to do the work, went back out and relapsed, ended up in front of a judge facing 10, 15 years, and the thoughts that are running through their head is, God, why'd you do this to God? It's like, hey, I didn't do this to you. As a matter of fact, I did everything, put you front and center in a treatment center that is pushing out more clean time than anywhere else that I know on planet Earth, and you decided not to run the play. Not your fault that you're here. 100% your responsibility to recover to make sure that you don't end back up here again. Is this process hard? Yeah. It is hard. As is life. As is anything that's good. Honestly, if you get the right framework, none of us ever would have asked for hardship. I don't get up in the morning and say, dear God, give me some hardship. Give me some character building, give it to me. I want the hard stuff because that I just like it. Give me some struggle. Give me some blow-ups. Give me just give me, I don't know. Make it rain crazy in my life today. Because that just is what I need. But the reality is, honestly, it's in these situations because you can't run from this thing, dude. You can't run from it. This monster sitting right in front of you is looking you right down. You do a lot of things, right? You don't like a relationship, you can blow out of that. You don't like a job, you can blow out of that. You don't like this, you don't like that. You don't like this treatment center, you can blow out of here. I'm telling you what you can't blow out of is that addiction staring you down. That is one that is wired that I don't care where you go, it's going to be right there. You can't run from it. You absolutely, your back, in a way, is against the wall, and either you're going to turn and fight. Some of you are like, I'm a lover, I ain't a fighter. Well, you better figure that out too. You better figure out it's both if you're going to make it out of this thing. And if you will allow it and allow God to get you through it and dial in, you will become somebody that is absolutely remarkable on the other side of it. In so because the skill set, and I promise you, there's people that get clean that I would not hire them to wash my stinking truck. Okay, there's all different types of varieties of recovery, and I so hope to God that you subscribe to one that has integrity and character in it. I so hope that is the one that you subscribe to, because there are people that can get clean that I am telling you, I don't know. Sometimes I just wonder which I just feel like you're just operating at the same level minus the dope. So, there is a formula that if you do it right, and the principles that you will apply and the backbone that you'll have to develop in this process that will translate into success in so many other areas. I mean, a lot of you think, man, once I get out of here, I want to be a leader. A leader. People show up all the time. They want to be leaders. We have a leadership program. They want to be leaders. Everything leadership sells. Every conference leadership fills up, okay? Some of y'all have been around some really good leaders. Some of y'all can probably remember being around really poor leaders. And what do you think that it's going to take to become a leader? I mean, discipline. I'm getting some feedback. I appreciate that. Might as well run a process group. Okay, so I like that. Let's do that. I'll repeat them for the people online. I got discipline. What else we got? Integrity. What else? Change, honesty, gratitude, compassion, all those things. Yeah, that's exactly right. All of those things. And I could break them down in all these different ways, but we'll just, pick a few of them. Number one, to be able to lead at any level, to be a leader of other men or other women, is that you've got to learn how to hold people accountable. It's just a basic skill. You don't have to become the subject matter expert in everything that there is under the sun, but you have got to learn how to hold people accountable. If you want some of the best leadership training on the planet, learn how to look at one of your peers and say, hey, what you're doing is not working. What you're doing right now is not good for your recovery and is not going to play out well. I promise you, if you learn how that one skill right there, number one, it is going to give you up your chances of staying clean exponentially. What I mean is that you have to understand that you are in a training ground right now. All right, if you don't have the ability to look at, I won't use you again. You don't have the ability to be able to look at somebody and to say, hey, what you're doing, that behavior that you're doing right there is triggering me. Learning how, it's not a license to be a jerk. Sometimes it might come out that way, and that's okay. But I'm talking about just being assertive. That's what your therapist would say to you, okay? You got to have enough backbone to be able to hurt somebody's feelings that whenever they're doing something is offensive, and especially when it's violating and it is encroaching on your recovery. Because if you don't learn that here, then you're never going to learn it out there. It's not like you're just magically going to, wake up one day and figure it out. You've got to learn how to control your environment. You've got to learn how to be able to do that. You've got to learn how to get the threats and to eliminate the threats to your recovery. Okay? Somebody said gratitude. I really wasn't planning on going there tonight, but yes, learn how to be grateful. How you see this season determines everything. There are people that are sitting in this room right now. Some of them are saying, man, thank God. I cannot believe that God has been so merciful to me with all the crazy stuff that I've done, that God would have enough mercy on me to save my life and to give me yet another chance. Okay? And the person sitting right next to you might be saying, God, why'd you do this to me? It's not fair. I got, Leroy and Tommy and Cindy Lou are over at the meth trailer right now getting high and having fun, and I'm in here, and I can't believe that you did this to me. Probably some different names, but the same, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that delineation and that contradiction in the mindsets that are sitting in the same room. In the same room, it's a difference, right? I mean, it's just a difference between a David Hobbs, you know what I'm saying? A difference between Stacy, a difference between Shanna, and a difference between, others that went on to a premature grave. That heard the exact same speakers. That heard the exact same content, had the exact same therapist, was on the exact same caseload, and one of them makes it and goes into long-term recovery and the other one doesn't. One of them had humility. One of them had discipline. One of them had gratitude. And one of them had pride. That's the difference. That's the difference between life and death. That is the difference. And you can train your mind to be like that. Some people, yeah, I get it. I'm not like, I'm pretty inspirational, but I like to say I'm a realist. I can shoot from the hip. I can shoot from whatever. And then I used to get so annoyed. There's this guy right now, and he's high-level CEO of a company. And we were first trying to get clean, and he was so positive it got on my nerves. I just was like, good God. You know what I'm saying? I just was like, what in the world? And guess what? He stayed clean. I didn't. He stayed clean. You know what? And he had been delivered from a lot. He had escaped a major prison sentence on a manufacturing charge. I was a little punk that probably, thought that I was better than the people in the rooms at Narcotics Anonymous at the time. I probably thought I was different. Probably thought I don't know what I was thinking. But I know one thing. He got on my nerves for being positive, and I went and got high, and he didn't. I do know that. And you can train yourself in a variety of different ways. You can learn gratitude. You can learn it. You can say, man, I am watching my mind self-sabotage my recovery. I am going to be intentional and train my mind to not be that way. And you can do that in a variety of ways. You can listen to worship music. You can listen to speakers. You can get around. But I promise you this. I've said this before, and I will say it again because I like the way that it's said. Everybody wants to know the cheat code. What's a cheat code? I'm going to date myself. We used to have Nintendo whenever I was growing up, right? And there was a game called Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, okay? And I think it was 007 373 5963. I can't remember that, but I used to know, and it won't take me long to figure it back out. That was the code to Mike Tyson. I could skip everybody. If you didn't have Mike Tyson, you had to fight Glass Joe. You had to fight the little Indian dude that spun around in circles. You had to fight the bald bull. You had to fight, King Hippo. You had to fight all those dudes, and it took you forever to get to Tyson. But if you could enter this code, you could bypass all of them, and you had your match with destiny against Mike Tyson. Now, I finally figured out how to beat that joker, too. I was fired up. You had a little Mac. He was that big. Tyson was huge. But everybody wanted the cheat code. You wanted the cheat code. You wanted a warp zone to be able to skip levels to be able to get to the end. I'm going to give you your cheat code. If you're dealing with all kinds of stuff, man, you can go in there and you need to see your therapist 100%. You need to do all of that. But I promise you this. You want to accelerate your life? Proximity is the cheat code. Proximity. You get close and decide, how'd you learn how to get high? Let's just reverse engineer this thing. I mean, you just magically become an expert at drinking all day? Hanging out, did some research. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I did illicit drugs, so I don't want to be beneath all you high-level alcoholics in here, but I did. I'm just kidding. I love giving alcoholics a hard time. It's like my favorite. They just, because normally their first phone call home whenever they get into treatment is like, oh my God, I've been here with these drug addicts, get me out of here. They're just, I have never even seen cocaine, and freaking Becky, oh my God, you gotta see her. Get me out of here, quickly. it's get me out of here. Okay. What are the two drugs that kill people when they're coming off of them? Alcohol and benzos, baby. Oh, the two ones that you absolutely have to have a medical detox to come off of safely, or it will, not heroin, not meth, alcohol and benzos. So anyway, all right. But I did not know. So we're we'll just reverse engineer on how you got a PhD in addiction. Like, you didn't just go put yourself in a closet and then just figure out how to do it. I mean, I remember, showing up, and, I don't want to trigger everybody in the room, and so I got to be careful on how I use my examples, but I achieved a PhD in getting high by hanging out with people that had been getting high longer than me. I figured out how to find the dope that way. I figured out how to do it. I mean, when I first started doing it, I don't even think this is like a deal anymore. When we used to smoke methamphetamines, we didn't have them little pipes, those cool pipes that y'all have over here in Atlanta. I'm from Mississippi. We used to smoke it off Reynolds wrap, aluminum foil, right? And so, we country, right? I had to break out a pen. It was awful. It was embarrassing, right? And so we're going to need to delete this whenever I run for president, all right? So delete this content when I run for president. So we didn't have all that stuff, and I would show up, and I was not coordinated enough to do it myself, right? So I had to have another grown man hold my foil, okay? And I didn't like that. I had too much pride that I wanted to be able to do it myself, and so I had to learn, I had to learn how to get around. I had to watch it until I could eventually learn how to do it myself, and then I was raised up where I could, then go and recruit the next person. I could do it for them. And so, and I don't know. And there was awkwardness. I remember sneaking into bars when I was, 15 years old, having a fake ID. I would practice these things in public. Like, how was I going to lean against the bar and not look like a 16-year-old? I did not want to look like a 16-year-old. I wanted to be cool in there. There were older women in there, and I wanted, to display, I wanted to learn all that stuff. So I went in and I watched other people do it, and I figured it out. And I looked like a pig on roller skates while I was learning how to do it a lot of times. But eventually I learned it, and guess what? In the same way, it's the same methodology that you're going to learn how to recover. It's the same way. Probably a lot of you are in early recovery. If I gave you the microphone tonight, we would probably, wonder, you probably could not fool us that you were an LPC. You probably couldn't fool us that you had 10 years of recovery. But guess what? You stick around, you find somebody that's got real recovery, you fully immerse in the lifestyle. That's what I did. I fully immersed in it. A little bit I was kind of, going back and forth until I finally said, you know what? I'm going to be about this lifestyle. And then I went all in it, and it accelerated my education. And I became good at getting high, if you will. I'm sure that I could drop y'all off at any hood in the entire world, that I could drop you off at any city in the entire world, and whether you could speak their language or not, you could figure out how to find some dope. I got all the confidence in the world that y'all could do that. Let's reverse engineer this whole thing. That's how you get clean. It's going to be awkward at first when you show up and you don't know anything. But you need to let the hunger and this intensity for a new way of life drive you into awkward situations. It's going to be awkward at times. It's going to be awkward whenever you show up at a Bible study and they're like, turn to, to the book of, Amos. And you're going to be like, I didn't even know that was in the Bible. And like, this nut over here went straight to it like he had his finger marked on it. And then he cross-referenced it with like, what is he, like the attorney of a Bible? Like, what's going on with this guy? And then, and then all of a sudden you stick around and, in the same way that you used to look like a nut, walking up in the bar, when you didn't know. And at some point, you probably don't even remember when it happened, when you marched up in there like a veteran. There was no awkwardness. There was no weirdness in it. And it became a way of life, except that way of life was going to take your life. That way of life was going to prematurely destroy your life. It would take everything from you and bring about total destruction. This new way of life is going to give you everything that you hope to be and could ever want out of life. Doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, and it's not going to be an instant payoff. But discipline, proximity is your cheat code. Discipline is your superpower. Discipline. Maybe not the most popular word, probably doesn't feel the best whenever you say it, but if you become disciplined in doing the important things, and I'm just saying, hey, your Bible, a daily intake of Bible reading, a daily intake, a daily conversation with God, daily. The difference between people that are great and those people that don't make it are the ones that consistently do those things right there. They consistently do them where some people inconsistently do them. That really is the difference on making it. I'm glad that you had a good day. Let's have 2 good days. I'm glad that you had a good week. Let's have a good month. And I'm going to commit to the process and run the play day in and day out. I'm going to have a healthy intake. Discipline is your superpower. I'm going to be disciplined in spending time with the Lord. I'm going to be disciplined in finding somebody in here. Somebody in this room is serious about their recovery. Somebody in this room here that's got a real relationship with God that they are so positive that's annoying. And that's who, don't let that repel you. Let that draw you. I want that perspective. I mean, that's the perspective that gives birth to all of the opportunities. That is the mindset that you can build with. I promise you, I would not be where I'm at today, standing in front of you, if I would have surrounded myself with a bunch of negative, pessimistic, weak people. I would not be here. I chose those people carefully who would be around me. That meant that I had to say no, and I had to push out old friends, high school buddies. We made fun of everything. Those are some of my favorite people in the whole world. I love them to death. We have more inside jokes. I had more fun with them. There was a season for me to be able to get where I needed to get in God and to be able to lay hold of this new way of life that I had to eliminate them from my life. You know what? And they're going to come at you, oh, you think you're better than us. Yes, dude, let that be a sign. Do not be manipulated by that. Do not be manipulated by them trying to draw you back in. You don't owe them anything. You don't owe them anything. You do not owe them a single thing. I don't care what kind of loyalty and what kind of confessions that you made along the way. You do not owe them anything. And for a lot of you right now, that's the biggest hindrance in your life, is not severing those contacts. Like, sever them. Ghost. Like you don't owe them any kind of explanation. Let that, I remember the first time that somebody called me Jesus boy. Like, at first I was like, I don't remember. I think we were in my car and I made a decision to take it off, probably that I, just decided to put it on some Christian music, and he just fires off, oh, okay, Jesus boy. And I just remember thinking like that. I've never, like, I probably should slap this guy and knock him out of my car right now. However, I have never, like, I was like, I'm being persecuted for my faith. and it was just a sign that there was something, that I was doing something different than I'd done in my entire life. You know, the first time that somebody says something to you like that, let that be a sign of change in your life. You don't owe them anything. You don't owe them any kind of explanation. You don't owe them any type of response to that. I mean, feel free to give them one. They're not going to understand it. They might feel rejection. They might feel this. They might feel that you're saying, look, it has nothing to do with you. I am choosing this new way of life. People come in here all the time from my hometown, right? Back in Clarksdale. And a lot of them, what they would want to do is they would want to operate and relate to the old Trey. The Trey they used to get high with, the Trey they had stories with, or whatever. And I'm saying, hey, look, it's not what we're doing here. That's not what we're doing, man. I am so glad you're here. I love you. Yeah, man. You know, you got all the old stories, and you can probably be, the stand-up comedian of your sober living apartment telling the stories of what you remember about me whenever I was getting high. But I am telling you, that's not how you're going to relate with me here. Either you're going to get on this level or you will be on the first Greyhound bus back to Clarksdale, Mississippi. And I've done it many times. I'm not proud. I'm not happy about kicking people out. But whenever you draw that line in the sand of saying, hey, this is what we're about now. We're about growth. We're about excelling. We're about going to the next level. We're about doing all of that. And the second that you try to pull me back down to the old way of life is the second that I'm putting you on a Greyhound bus back to wherever you came from. That is the mentality that you must embrace. And it's not, and yes, it's for recovery, but it's for business. It's for anything else for that matter. You've got to have a team of people that are around you. Yeah, use the fuel from the haters. Yeah, use some of the other kind of stuff like that. But what you've got to be intentional about is pulling those people around you that are going to help drive and propel your life and your purpose forward. Okay? Go ahead. Why not? The whole thing been weird tonight. Let's go. We got questions. Okay, so we're not supposed to dwell on the past. We're supposed to shut the door on the past. How are we supposed to what? No, we're not supposed to regret. Yeah. Yeah. What it's talking about there is that we don't shut the door on the reality of the situation. What it's not saying is that we stay in relationship with everybody from our past. It's two completely different things. Two completely different things, okay? But a really, really good question. I'm glad that you brought that up. It's super important that we break down these differences. If not, then it says like, oh, it clearly says right here, at this AA meeting that we're not supposed to shut the door on the past. I mean, that's where you're pulling that literature from. If you're wondering where that's coming from, that's where that's coming from. And so, but the reality is saying that you get to a place where you almost become grateful for what brought you to this spiritual awakening. So I'm not going to shut the door on what brought me to my knees. And it's really an interesting, it's dynamic. And what I mean by that, there's so many different levels and perspectives, and there's truths that are applicable at different times depending on what you are trying to accomplish. Okay? So, for example, I don't shut the door on what got me here, but if I am trying to become a new person, and I'll just put it this way. Let's say that part of the program here is that at the end of 90 days, for you to graduate the program, that this is actually going to become an MMA UFC cage, and you're going to have to fight somebody in your weight class to be able to graduate the program, okay? So you now have to fight your way to get out of this program, right? How are you going to spend the next 90 days? Training. I mean, I would find the fighters. I would be going around here and waiting and be like, hey, oh, have you ever fought before? Let me see you. Show me. You know what a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is? Like, you know what that is? Can you teach me that, please? I want to hang out with you. You know who I'm not going to be hanging out with? Captain Cheetos. All right? That's not who I'm going to be hanging out with. Because I know that I got to fight, and if I'm going to get out of here, then I've got to be transformed, that when I get up here and in 90 days, I've got to be a fighter. I got to know how to fight. I got to know how to throw a jab. I got to know how to throw a right cross. I got to be able to light somebody up, and I got to be confident in that, because I ain't doing another 90 days. Okay? So I am telling you, while I might not shut the door on what got me here, I know that if I'm going to be transformed, then I am getting ready to have to push out anybody that's going to be an enemy of me becoming a trained fighting machine whenever I get up here, right? Okay. So that is the difference. Now, you know, fast forward, you've become a fighter, and somebody reaches out from your past and says, I want to become a fighter too. Okay? Then you're going to meet them on neutral ground, or you're going to meet them where you're strong. I'm not going to go back. Yes, exactly right. I'm not going to go back and meet them at the dope house. That's not where we're going to have our little meeting. I'm not going back to my hometown to meet them at the bar so that I can be relatable to them while they sit down there and suck down Budweisers, so that I can be, you know what, like, we're going to meet at a safe place where I've got solid ground, and then I can reach you and I can bring you into this new way of life. So that's how I would, you know, differentiate on, you know, what, you know what I'm saying, on whenever you hear things like that. Because, you know, there's so many sayings and analogies that can be applicable to be able to make a point, but they're not this like, you know, this truth. And I'm going to leave with this, right? Truths can coexist. All right? Here's the reality. Like I am an I know some of y'all aren't going to like that, or whatever. Y'all want me to say, or whatever. That if I know, well, I'll just say this. That there was a time in my life where I was a full-blown IV methamphetamine drug addict. One of the worst human beings that ever set foot in my hometown of Clarksdale, Mississippi. It's no doubt. 100%. I got a whole thousands of people that will verify that, okay? That is a truth. There is a higher truth that God saved me, that he transformed me and made me a new creation and had a new plan and a destiny for my life, right? Those are two truths that coexist at the exact same time. One of them is higher, and I've got to choose which one I'm going to believe and I'm going to apply to my life. Okay? And as it is with really a lot of truths like that, if that makes sense. So I don't want to turn this thing into some philosophy class, but whatever. I just want you guys to know I appreciate you. We're getting ready to transition now into to graduations. As you get ready to go into the weekend, we are looking to make sure, bless you. Like I said, it keeps getting weirder and weirder. God. Oh, man. This is where it all started. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm so grateful for Free Chapel and all that, man. But, man, this is where it all started right here. Y'all are getting ready to go the weekend, man. I'm going to wrap this thing up. Don't be dumb. All right. I don't know how to say it. I mean, just, come on, man. You do not have to run this thing off the cliff. Do you realize that? I mean, I don't care what you got set up. I mean, I don't care if it's sitting in the mailbox right now where you're going to pass tomorrow. You already got, you know, somebody. I don't care how far down the road that you've gone, you do not have to run it completely off the cliff. It really is an amazing thing that when you understand that you don't have to burn the thing to the ground. I don't care what you've committed to. I don't care how you've got your past set up for some compromising thing. But guess what? Unless you get honest about it, like there's nobody that can save you from that. Like you have to do it. Like you're the one that has to say, like, hey, I am getting ready to go to a compromising place tomorrow. Like I am struggling. I am getting ready to be dumb. And I know that I don't need to do that. You can fool us. You can trick us. Like you've hired us to save your life. That's what you've done. Now you've got to let us do that. If you don't allow us to be able to see that, to be able to hold you accountable, then we can't do our job. I mean, again, when I go back to these, silly analogies, I mean, I can hire the same fitness trainer that trained Kobe, that trained Jordan, that trained LeBron, that trained whoever. You know what I'm saying? Whoever you think is the best trainer that is, getting all the people in shape, whatever, getting the best results. But if I won't do what they asked me to do, and I won't stop eating junk food after 9 o'clock at night, guess it is not their fault that I'm not in shape. You understand that? Like you have got to be honest about that so that you don't dismantle and mess up this entire process. But I also will put some onus on the roommates that if you know that somebody in this program is in a compromising situation and is going or thinking about doing something dumb, like, dude, it is your responsibility. It does not mean that you are a snitch, okay? This is not prison, and this is not like you're not in a gang, okay? They're not. I don't want to get, just get back on some rant. But the medicine that somebody needs is the accountability. Like I wish that we could just treat it like a bacterial infection and just be like, oh, man. Is that manipulation? Like, we need some more penicillin. Send that over there. The infection is back. Just not how it works. Whenever you think about treatment in every other medical setting, I mean, you're thinking like, I need some more, I need something, like I need an IV of something, I need to change my meds, I need to change whatever. Some of y'all need a good old dose of accountability. You need somebody at a peer level. I can come in here and I can yell all night, make every great point on the planet, and you'll still just be like, it doesn't register. He's trying to brainwash me. I am still going to do the crazy thing that I thought I was going to do before I got here. But I promise you, when it comes at a peer level, and then you just realize that, man, this person that is my roommate, that is in this at the peer level, has just held me accountable to it. You might not get an accolade. There might not be anybody up there that's celebrating you whenever they play these graduation videos and all that. But you can sit there in that chair and know, because you were willing to say the hard thing to somebody in this program, that when they cross that finish line up there, that they are untold, unsung heroes that were willing to do that got people across the finish line, that were willing to say the hard thing. So let's get to, what would make me nothing happier? We do a tactical meeting. That is our department heads and leadership team. We do a tactical meeting at 11 o'clock every Monday over in 2nd Avenue. And I go around and I get what is called key performance indicators, or I get feedback and I get updates on all the departments that are in this program, from detox to the men's program over to the women's program, right? And one of those KPIs that we get that they've got to report on to me are the relapses over the weekend. There is nothing that would make me happier that I get back on Monday, and that when it comes time for Shannon to report, to say there is absolutely no incidents, no relapses. We had 100% compliance, and that everybody here is safe and sound. Like, make that part of the mission right now. It will change you. It will change you when you start to see it that way. It'll change you when you start to look at the program through that lens, okay? All right. I love y'all. I really do, man. I know this thing isn't easy. I know it's hard. I'm going to pray for us, okay? Father, we love you. God, I thank you so much for tonight. I thank you for your mercy. I thank you for your grace, God. I thank you for letting us have a good time while we looked at some very important truths. God, we ask for forgiveness tonight where we have failed you, Jesus. God, where we have thought things that didn't line up with your word. God, where we have said things, Lord, where we have hurt people and didn't mean to. God, where we have intentionally hurt people. God, where we have done all of those things, God, that we get frustrated our own selves about, God. And we are asking, God, for mercy and grace, God, to make us whole, and that you would heal us and allow us to become the people, God, your children that you so intensely and eagerly desire for us to become. God, that you would break every demonic stronghold, every prideful thought, God, that raises itself up against your ways and against your culture, God, that you would break that on the inside of us and that you would transform us into the likeness of Jesus. God, that we would know humility and that we would grow to love meekness, that we would grow to love your ways, God. That we would be bold in faith and bold in what you've called us to, God, that we would be people that you can build with, that you can mold, God, that you can transform. And we love you so much, Jesus. God, I pray, be with these ladies tonight, God. Be with everybody that's watching us tonight, God, in this program and beyond, God. The people that are going to be coming in over the weekend and the weeks to come, God, that you would be with them now, God, preparing their hearts, God, for your message of love and redemption. In Jesus' name, hallelujah. Amen.
All right, ladies. I'm going to bring back just a few points from Trey because I am called the warden here in this program. I think I can equate that to accountability, and many that will come up here and get their graduation certificate tonight, you have been in front of me, and I have held you accountable on many levels. A lot of you do not love me because of my accountability ways, and that's okay. Because if I didn't hold you accountable, I wouldn't love you, right? So, and with that, I mean, I'm accountable in many ways, and I have people that I love very dearly that are fighting addiction. So, if I hold you all accountable, know that I'm holding people very close to me accountable too. And if I come to you and I say to you, hey, I see 1 nanogram of something in your urine, you best know that I know that you've done something. So don't try and lie your way out of it. And if I'm asking, I already know, okay? So, but just know that we love you and we see you all working very hard, and you're doing something that many people don't get a chance to do. So on your hardest days, when you can't find gratitude somewhere, scoop up a little bit from somewhere, anything. If it's just your laundry was washed today, be thankful for that. Or somebody shared a sandwich when you first came in the program and didn't have anything. Be thankful for that. There's many people that love you here and pour into you. So with that being said, let's move on into the graduates. So I know that it's a little bit different here, so I'll just meet you at the front, and then you all can, if you haven't been here before, you just have a seat on the front, or you can go back, either one, okay? And I'm going to go back to what we used to say when we were here, but why are we doing this today? What are we doing this for? To finish? Very good, very good. All right, my first graduate is Miss Lee S. Miss Marina Y. You're on here. Tina S. Miss Tina S. Congratulations. A hard fighter, Miss Athena L. Sweet little Mary M. My little feisty Vanessa R. Last but not least, Kelly B. All right, ladies, that wraps it up for our graduates. I thank you all very, very much for all your hard work. Each one of you, I know, very near and dear, especially this one right here.